Toy Story is a movie that a lot of people don't really talk about anymore. I mean, it's not like a hidden gem or anything like that. People know what it is and they seem to like it all the same, but I feel like it's not as prevalent in people's minds, at least not since it first came out in 1995. And I'll admit, I have a little bit of a bias on thinking that. I first watched this movie as a little kid, and it's become such a huge part of my life and was a major factor into who I become as a person. But I can see how people aren't as interested in Toy Story. It doesn't have the same heart as Finding Nemo or Up. It's not as deep or profound as Ratatouille or WALL-E. Heck, it's not even as memeable as some of the DreamWorks movies. But as Pixar's first movie, as the first completely computer-generated film ever, Toy Story is way better than it has any right to be. Alright, so what do I mean by that? Okay, so for starters, let's look at how they characterize each toy. Imagine this, writers sitting around at a table, right? And they look at a Mr. Potato Head and they're like, okay, what's his deal? What's his MO? And another guy says, well, his face parts always comes off his body, so that's super annoying for him. So then they make Mr. Potato Head a cynical stamp office prick.
Hey, Ham, look, I'm Picasso.
I don't get it.
You uncultured swan.
It's all right then. Well, darn it, it's good enough for me.
Let's string him up by his pull string. Say that for the jury. I hope Sid pulls your voice box out, you creep.
Okay, and then they get to this T-Rex, right? And they're thinking, okay, so the T-Rexes are like the kings of the dinosaurs, right? So what we make this guy, our plastic toy T-Rex, the opposite of that.
How you doing, Rex?
Were you scared? Tell me honestly.
I was close to being scared that time.
Oh, I'm going for fearsome here, but I just don't feel it. I think I'm just coming off as annoying.
Another guy pulls out a piggy bank, and everyone else is like, we can't make a character about a piggy bank, put that away. And then he's like, guys, hear me out. So, piggy banks are usually on a kid's shelf, right? Okay, this is where it gets interesting. So, usually, piggy banks are on the shelf, they're in a high place, so they can see everything that goes on in a kid's room. So, if we make a piggy bank, like this gossipy, fast talking know-it-all, because he literally knows it all. He sees everything that's going on in like the room, in the kid's room, you know, and that's where Han came from. But of course, the most complex characters in this movie are two leads, Buzz Lightyear and Woody Pride, and yes, that's his actual last name. Now, Woody was initially characterized as being more antagonistic, as he used his spot as the top toy as a position of power.
Slanky! Get up here and do your job! Are you deaf? I said take care of them!
I'm sorry, Woody, but I have to agree with them. I don't think what you did was right.
What? Am I hearing correctly? You don't think I was right? Who said your job was to think, Spring Wiener?
Thankfully, he was softened up a little bit in the final movie to be a more level-headed foil to everyone else's more outlandish characterizations. Although some of Woody's old personality does come out every once in a while.
Hey, Bob, howdy.
Oh, shut up.
Shut up. Just shut up, you idiot.
I'm Woody. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
But hey, if some Chad came into your job and took away your position just for being him, you would also be pissed off. And yeah, being a toy in this world is portrayed as being a very mundane, real-world job with staff meetings and all. But it's made very clear to us that Woody loves his job as Andy's favorite toy, despite his mundanity. So when Woody's role changes as Buzz comes into the picture, it makes the situation relatable to anyone who's had a similar experience. Buzz himself is just a delusional guy with a G.I. Joe complex, which juxtaposes Woody's common sense, but it makes him a very fun duo to watch. And Buzz is not a dumb character, like how it's portrayed in another movie. He just sees the world in the way that he was taught, or I guess, programmed? I don't know. They never really explain how or why he thinks he's a space ranger, but I mean, it's very entertaining to watch, so it works.
Oh yeah? Tough guy?
His Space Ranger hijinks aren't just for comedic relief, it's a good insight into who his character is. Buzz truly believes that he's a Space Ranger, and he's 100% dedicated to completing his mission to defeat the evil Emperor Zurg. It's funny because it's very adorable. While we know that he's wrong, his pure innocence and dedication to his crusade is as inspiring as it is comedic. making it all the more heart-wrenching when he realizes that he's not actually a space ranger. Like most buddy comedies, Buzz and Woody are nearly polar opposites from each other, all the way down to being representations of completely different genres. But their character arcs have very similar beats. Both start out thinking that they're one thing and can't be anything else, and both have to come to terms with that realization that they're not that thing and it's okay. They both had a very common experience that everyone has gone through: change. Or more specifically, change in their status quo. Change can be something that causes fear, uncertainty, and even depression, which happen especially in both of these characters. At their lowest points, they're both disappointed in who they are because they aren't who they think they should be, with Woody believing he's no longer Andy's favorite toy, and Buzz realizing that he's only Andy's toy. But the good thing about change is that there can be a bright side to it, and what makes Buzz and Woody's friendship so heartwarming is that they let each other know in their own unique ways.
You were right all along. I'm not a space ranger. I'm just a toy, a stupid, little, insignificant toy.
Whoa, hey, wait a minute. Being a toy is a lot better than being a space ranger. Over in that house is a kid who thinks you are the greatest, and it's not because you're a space ranger, pal. It's because you're a cool toy. As a matter of fact, you're too cool. I mean, what chance does a toy like me have against a Buzz Lightyear action figure? Why would Andy ever want to play with me when he's got you? I'm the one that should be strapped to that rocket.
Woody, knowing the perks of being a toy, explains to Buzz why being one is the best thing in the world. And when Buzz sees the pain he inadvertently causes Woody, he does what his real counterpart would do in this situation and saves his colleague, letting Woody know that he's still valued even if it doesn't seem like he is. And that's why this movie is so good. It's the start of Pixar's signature writing style of making the lives of inanimate objects or fantastical characters and making them relatable to the audience. But what if I told you that this movie is actually the worst Toy Story movie of all time? Now, I know what you're thinking. Why did I spend all this time trying to convince you that Toy Story is a good movie? Well, it still is a good movie. However, this movie scratches the surface on what this franchise has to offer, especially what it does with the theme of change. But hopefully I can elaborate on that in a future video.